Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the YouTube world, CJ Rose is back in the building. Welcome back to the channel. Word is bond, love is love. Like, comment, subscribe, or do all the above. And if you ain't doing anything today, follow my Instagram, RugerRose23. It's the place to be. All right. Today is a day to celebrate. Today is a day to rejoice. Let's be happy. With everything going on, it's time to celebrate, man. Why? Because we have an anniversary today. Because today marks 20 years of probably, possibly, arguably the greatest superstar in WWE history. That being John Cena. John Cena makes 20 years today. It's a day of celebration, man. It's a day of celebration. Yes, and I do mean that. I think John Cena is probably, arguably, one of the greatest superstars in WWE history. Probably the greatest. But not for the reasons that you think. Now, everybody will argue that Stone Cold Steve Austin was the most popular superstar in history, which is the truth. Obviously, he is one of the most popular superstar in WWE history. Because of the fact that, you know, when he was always on TV, people watched. And everybody makes the argument of when John Cena was on top, people stopped watching. But the thing is, as John Cena was on the TV, yes, a lot of the old wrestling fans kind of stopped watching. But that doesn't mean that WWE wasn't getting more eyes on the product. And that was more for the kids, because it became kid-friendly for that specific reason. And John Cena became literally a role model to them. You know, it's never give up, never say die attitude, you know. So while people will sit there and always talk about that, you got to really see at what was gained from John Cena being on TV. And now if you look at it, people miss this man now. You look back at it now, people miss him because John Cena just brings something that we miss. Cena at times will go off script. He will be real about it. He will be honest. You know, so we miss that. Because Cena isn't really a scripted. Sometimes, I mean, he was before, obviously, but his promos aren't that scripted anymore. Like, he really be talking from the heart these days, you know. So we miss that because a lot of these promos that we hear now are just so damn, you know, that is just like, God, what the fuck? Can I get a little bit of realism out your mouth? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just crazy. But we are here to celebrate 20 years of John Cena. Well, let's see. The first time I ever saw John Cena was 2002, but it wasn't when he challenged Kurt Angle. Or it wasn't when he challenged Kurt Angle in that one-on-one match. It was actually during the Tag Team Championship tournament on SmackDown. Because this is when Stephanie McMahon introduced the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, because, you know, the World Tag Team Championships were exclusive to Raw, so SmackDown needed the tag team titles, and this is Stephanie McMahon introduced them as she had this tournament. So one of the teams was Billy Kidman and John Cena. Now at this time, John Cena kind of was just wearing like these colored what do we call them? Can't call them trunks. They're not trunks. I guess we are calling them trunks. I guess these are trunks. So he's wearing like colorful trunks, matching knee pads and matching wrestling boots with like tape on his wrist. That's all he was wearing at the time. That was it. You look at him, literally, bro. You can see he was out the door, bro. Nobody believed John Cena, and who the hell can? Because if you dress like that, who believe in you? Now, mind you, this was after he challenged Kurt Angle. Yeah, he challenged Kurt Angle at He challenged Kurt Angle on his first night of SmackDown. He got his respect from The Undertaker, who was the undisputed champion at the time, and he wrestled his first pay-per-view match against Chris Jericho and won. So all that still doesn't kind of tell you, well, he's gonna be something. No, it doesn't. So it was just gonna be like, oh well, let's give it a couple months. He'll probably be off TV for a while. So I seen him in his tag team with him and Billy Kidman. I think they won their first match, but then lost their second to Edge and Rey Mysterio. So now, you know, after they lose, Cena turns heel because he's mad Billy Kidman lost the match for him. And now, boom, he's a heel, randomly. And then some random SmackDown, no, not even random SmackDown. It was the Halloween edition of SmackDown. It's where John Cena was literally dressed as Vanilla Ice, and then it starts rapping. Like some smooth lyrics. I can't even remember them off the top of the head, not verbatim. But he was just rapping these smooth lyrics. And then from there, it just became a thing. Like from there, he just became this whole different persona, the Doctor of Thugonomics. Where every night he would come out, he had this generic background. His generic entrance music was like literally like a beat, a generic beat with a DJ scratching the record. He would just come out there and just rap. Now in the beginning, it wasn't even polished. Like it wasn't polished in the beginning. It was just all over the place. Like it was just rapping and the beat was just playing. You know what I'm saying? But further in, he started wilding out, bro. I remember this one line he hit. And God, it's crazy because somebody talked about it too. He told Brock Lesnar, and this was a time where he was beefing with Brock Lesnar. This man literally sat here and said, right? He said, I can't remember the first part of the bar, but I can remember the last part. He said, I'll whack you so many times than a masturbation tournament. I'll whack you so many times. I'll whack you more times than a masturbation tournament. Lord. And this was a time where you could say damn near anything on TV. This was a time where WWE kind of was just like, you could say whatever. And it don't matter. Now it's just, now you can't say things like that on TV. But back then, oh, who cares? Who cares? Because they were catering to a different audience back then versus now. But the Dr. Thugonomics lasted for like the end of 2002, heading into 2005. So it actually had a very good run. I mean, a 2-year run pretty much. Led him into 2004, where at this time he was a face. And he went to his first WrestleMania 20 in MSG, where he took on the Big Show to become the United States champion. And then from there, Cena was one of the biggest things in WWE. He wasn't a flash in the pan anymore. He wasn't that guy that people thought he couldn't be that. No. He was one of the most popular superstars in the game. To the point where he actually had the United States Championship and he changed it into a spinner belt. That didn't last. The United States Championship spinner belt didn't last long. It lasted for, how long did that belt last for? That lasted for a couple months. Yeah, it lasted for a couple months. And we thought that was the last we seen in the spinner belts. Until John Cena went to his next WrestleMania 21, where he faced JBL for the WWE Championship, won, became the WWE Champion. And in a matter of weeks, he changed the WWE Championship to the spinner belt. And that belt, that spinner belt, lasted from 2005 to 2013. That belt lasted for 8 years. And a myriad of people had that championship. Edge, Randy Orton, Triple H, CM Punk, Sheamus. I think somebody else had that title. No, I think those were the 5 people that had that championship within the 8 years. Was it? Because I know The Rock was the last one to have it. So I'm not adding them yet. I just want to know if that was... Give me a minute. I'm really pondering here. Want to be accurate here. So next person to beat him for that title was Edge. You about to see my mind just, you about to see my historic mind go crazy. So let's see. John Cena won the WWE Championship 2005. He lost it to Edge, cashing Money in the Bank. Then Cena won it back. Rob Van Dam, that was number 7. Okay, so Rob Van Dam makes 7. So Cena won it back at the Royal Rumble. Then lost it to Rob Van Dam, Money in the Bank. Then Edge won. Then John Cena won it back. Then he lost the WWE Championship. Well, he had to relinquish it because he tore his pec. So that's actually how we're gonna continue. So John Cena became WWE Champion in 2005. The same year he got drafted to Raw, and this was the first time a WWE Champion got drafted. The first time a world title got switched to a different brand. John Cena. Once he got drafted to Raw, nothing else was the same after that. He got started in SmackDown, but then from Raw, when he went to Raw, everything just changed. He was WWE Champion for that time until he lost it at New Year's Revolution after competing in Elimination Chamber to Edge. Edge cashed his Money in the Bank after he won that at WrestleMania 21. Edge had that for a couple weeks. Cena won the championship back at the Royal Rumble. And then Cena went on to WrestleMania 22, where he faced Triple H in a very damn good match. Then they had that epic rematch at Backlash, and Edge was involved in that one. Then he went on to One Night Stand in one of the hardest, craziest places that I don't think anybody has ever wrestled in. That's still infamous to this day. Still infamous to this day. Where John Cena faced Rob Van Dam for the WWE Championship, and that crowd was so behind Rob Van Dam and just hated Cena. They booed that man out the building. You know, fuck you, Cena. You can't wrestle. Cena sucked. Like, yo. It was hated so much that, you know, every time Cena takes off his shirt, he throws it in the crowd. They just threw it back at him. It was like, bro, we don't want this. There was this one dude that just threw it back, and he just went crazy. My man just threw it back and just went crazy. He's like, yeah, fuck. He just throwing up the middle finger in his face. Like, bro, what did he do? You hate him that much that you was going to disrespect that man in his face? That's crazy. But this was the time where Cena was getting booed pretty much damn near almost out of every arena. And I don't know well, we kind of know what happened and we kind of don't. Because at the time, Cena's character never really changed. You know what I'm saying? Like, Cena wasn't rapping anymore, but at the same time, Cena's character was still kind of on that kind of rugged type of feel. I don't know how to explain it, but it was just, he wasn't what he was in 2010. He wasn't that yet. Nowhere near. He was still John Cena. But it's like he started getting booed everywhere in the building and everything, so that was just crazy. But again, that was one of the hardest places for Cena, for anybody to wrestle in. And that was crazy. But Cena fought through it, put on a good match. But Rob Van Dam evidently won due to Edge costing Cena the title. And boom. John Cena Batista. Sorry, that just came to my mind. Batista was 8. So 8 people. So far 8 people have held that Spinner WWE Championship title. I'm sorry, that just came to my mind. But so Cena pretty much loses there. Then Edge regains the WWE Championship in a triple threat. I'm in Philly on Raw. Then John Cena walks into TLC at Unforgiven 2006 in Toronto, where he was booed. Not as bad as One Night Stand, but it was bad. It was bad. It was bad. It was bad. So again, Cena in another hostile environment. This time getting it done, winning the WWE Championship at Unforgiven, and this kicked off his longest title reign out of all his reigns. So boom. So from 2006, we're going away 2007, where he went to WrestleMania 23. He faced Shawn Michaels in a hell of a main event match. Amazing. Then he started this program with Randy Orton in the summer. Then before No Mercy, literally the week of No Mercy, Cena tore his pec, and he had to relinquish the WWE title. So this is when at No Mercy, Randy Orton won it twice. He got rewarded the WWE Championship, then lost it to Triple H later in the night. Then won it back in the main event to become a 2-time WWE Champion. And this is when the age of Orton happened. Now, Cena tore his pec. He tore his pec. He was supposed to be out for 9 months. 9 months. Which meant, in hindsight, that was what, October? So, in retrospect, he actually was supposed to miss WrestleMania 24. He was actually supposed to miss WrestleMania 24. This dude, in a span of 4 months, healed up. And in the Royal Rumble 2008, was the 30th entrant and one of the biggest surprises in WWE history. Because number one, nobody seen that coming. Number two, nobody figured that. And I remember that night so well. I never saw it because this was the time I really wasn't watching This was the time I was not watching pay-per-views at all. I had no access to watch pay-per-views. But I remember that so well because I thought number 30 was going to be Bobby Lashley. I thought it was. I knew number 30 was going to be the return. It had to be a return. I thought it was going to be Lashley. Instead, it was John Cena, who shocked the world coming back in 4 months. He said he was good. He won the Royal Rumble, by the way, in 2008. He won it. But he became one of those guys that won the Royal Rumble but never won the championship at WrestleMania. Instead, it became a triple threat match where Triple H was involved because Triple H won the Elimination Chamber at No Way Out. Now, the thing about that is John Cena actually wanted his championship match at No Way Out. He didn't want to wait. So, boom, they had to make something happen, and they did because John Cena had to beat Randy Orton in a random match, and if he beat Randy Orton, then he's inserted in the WrestleMania match. So, boom, it became a triple threat. Randy Orton retained. Boom, straight like that. So, 2008 was a shaky year for Cena. Really, really kind of was, and they didn't really do much until he had a match with Batista at SummerSlam, and Batista hit this power bomb that apparently shook Cena so hard that he broke his neck. Cena broke his neck, not severely, not like he had to be out for a year. He's only out for 4 months again. I don't know how the hell Cena's doing. I don't know how the hell Cena's only out for so little bit of time. But he broke his neck, and he was out for 4 months. Came back in Survivor Series 2008 in Boston, where he's from, and won the World Heavyweight Championship for the first time. Boom. So he won the World Heavyweight Championship for the first time. Lost it at No Way Out 2009. Then went to WrestleMania in another triple threat match against Edge and the Big Show to win the World Heavyweight Championship back. Then lost it at Backlash. And from there, John Cena became WWE champion that year. No, I was 09. I'm sorry. He still became WWE champion. When did he become WWE champion? Oh, right. And 2009. This was actually the year that he had another rival with Randy Orton. This is probably his biggest one because he was going all over the place with Randy. Then back if they were trading the WWE Championship like it was nothing every single pay-per-view until bragging rights where they had a 1 hour Iron Man match. I believe that was the last 1 hour Iron Man match in history, which was 2009. I don't think they ever had another Iron Man match or another 60-minute Iron Man match since. So that's wild. Won the WWE Championship back, then lost it to Sheamus, then won it back in Elimination Chamber 2010, lost it again, lost it to Batista, then won it back at WrestleMania, and then, going from there. Advance to where he faced The Rock at WrestleMania 28, first time ever. Once in a lifetime, supposedly. He lost to The Rock. Then got his run back the next year. This time it was for the WWE title. I don't think the WWE Championship was really needed, but who are you to tell? You know what I'm saying? Who are you to tell? Now at this time in the 2010s, Cena was kind of more up and down. He was still a big part of the product. He was still the number one guy without really even being that much featured fully in the main events like that, but he was still that guy. You know what I'm saying? He was still the number one guy. He was still the role model. Like you really couldn't say WWE without John Cena, honestly. That literally was this time. Like if you thought WWE, John Cena was it. You know what I'm saying? And boom, from right there, Cena was just that role model, that guy. You know what I'm saying? 2017. John Cena made history. John Cena became the WWE champion. And he became a 16-time world champion. He has tied Ric Flair for this. When Cena's going to break this, I have no idea. I don't know when it's going to be the appropriate time to break this, but at some point it's going to have to be broken. It's going to have to be broken. So yeah, John Cena. He had one of the longer reigns on top. Like when you think of Hulk Hogan only reigned on top for 4 years. And he was only WWE champion for that long. When you think of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin's reign was probably from 98, 99. So that only lasted for a year. But it only lasted for that long because he had to get neck surgery. So once he got neck surgery, it really wasn't really the same. And he was on top, but it wasn't like it was in 99. Like 99 was like 98, 99 was like his peak years. That was his peak time. You think of The Rock. The Rock only had one solid year. That was 2000. You think of Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels was in the 90s, but not that really heavy because he was also competing with Bret Hart at the same time too. So you think about it like that. I don't know about Ric Flair, so I'm not gonna go into Ric Flair. I'm not gonna go into Ric Flair. But John Cena, his reign lasted from 2005 to like, I want to say he was not considered the man anymore in like 2011. I want to say 2011. I want to say that was the year because 2012 he was WWE champion, but it wasn't huge. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know how to put that into a perspective. But nah, yeah, 2013. You know what? 2005, 2013. He had an 8-year run as the man. I want to say 2014. He kind of he definitely took a back seat back. He definitely took a back seat then. Had to. Because this was when Brock Lesnar was just going to start his whole damn reign of terror. But, yeah, so 2005 to 2013 is pretty much when he was just the man. Like, he was holding WWE on his back, doing everything he could. Yeah. John Cena, man. John Cena was that guy. On top of that, John Cena is also probably one of the, I want to say one of the best human beings on the world. He said he will not rest until he grants 1,000,000 wishes. So far, he's on I think 1,000, 2,000. He got a long way to motherfucking go. But he said he will not rest until he grants 1,000,000 wishes. That, I hope he lives to do that. John Cena is 41. So I hope he grants all these wishes. I hope so. I really do. I want to see that. I don't know how many he grants a month, but I hope he does get to that 1,000,000. But John Cena has granted more wishes than anybody in history. So, boom. And I'm not talking about wrestling wise. I'm talking about period. As a celebrity, he's granted more wishes. So John Cena will always take his time to make sure that he makes somebody's day. You gotta love that. You gotta love that. And I've talked about John Cena way too long. John Cena's my guy, man. I've been watching him since the beginning, so obviously I have a lot to say about him. And it is what it is, man. And in 4 hours' time, we will celebrate John Cena. I can't wait. So until then, it's been Rose, man. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the love, support. As always, once again, I was sporadically talking. You already know how I go. 3 videos for the day. It is what it is, man. So until next time, peace, love, 100. You heard?